Hey, are you hiring? If you answered yes, let XenTegra Staffing help staff your IT people needs. Head over to XenTegra.com/XenTegra Staffing to find out more. XenTegra Staffing, we can staff your IT people needs. Welcome to another edition of the Citrix Session with your hosts, Andy Whiteside and Bill Sutton, your source for all things Citrix.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 41 of the Citrix Session. I'm your host, Andy Whiteside. I've got Bill Sutton with me, Director of Services at XenTegra. Bill, how's it going?
Going well, Andy. Monday morning, back at it.
I think it's been a while, right? Has it been a while since we've done one of these together?
Yeah, I think we were off last week, so I think it's been a couple of weeks. I think you might have done one in between that was related to that broker service thing that happened.
Oh, that's right. The Windows Defender. I did not know until recently that Bid Defender, who's a good partner of ours, is the kind of the code behind Windows Defender. I didn't know that. Did you know that?
I didn't know that until it was brought up as part of that meeting or as part of that podcast.
I mean, they talk about having, some of the world's most widely used analytics, and I guess maybe that's why.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Bill, we have Monica Griesemer with us. Monica joined us a couple weeks ago to talk about one of our favorite topics, which is the Citrix Hypervisor, also known as XenServer. And Monica has joined us again to talk about some changes Citrix is making in the services available. Monica, how's it going?
It's going well. Thanks, Andy. Yes, thanks for having me again. I feel like I'm becoming a regular at this point. So that's kind of a fun place to be in. I appreciate you having me back.
Oh, that's good. That's good. The idea of having regulars is really something we'd love to do more of. So, Monica, remind us again your role at Citrix.
Absolutely. So I am in product marketing for both Citrix virtual apps and desktops, as well as Citrix Hypervisor. So the last call you had me on, I was chatting about Citrix Hypervisor. So I'm going to take that hat off today and chat more about our new Citrix virtual apps and desktops offerings. But all things virtualization, that's who I am.
So, Monica, that statement, obviously the hypervisor falls under you, but then the on-prem as well as the cloud-based services, those fall under your realm as well?
Yes, absolutely. So I'm not a team of one. I have a great team of other product marketers alongside me, but we cover everything from the on-premises versions of Citrix virtual apps and desktops to the services. Absolutely.
Well, now would probably be a good time to talk about, okay, so Citrix is making a change starting next quarter where all new sales of even the on-prem will be subscription-based. And then, of course, sales of the, X subscriptions services have always been subscriptions for a while.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great call out. So we are moving to a subscription model on premises for our customers that maybe are not ready for the cloud, but still kind of want to get in that rhythm of the subscription model. And then also wrapped in with that is support as well. So kind of keeps us all up to date and getting the latest and greatest. So yes, perpetual licensing will be going away soon, but it's kind of the direction that everyone's moving in at the moment.
Yeah, it's the software industry has figured out that's the right model for them, and to a large degree their customers as well. But certainly everybody's going that direction. I will take that moment to highlight. I'm kind of a stickler for the idea that when you talk about a cloud service, that you always add the word service to the end, because a lot of legacy products have perpetual implementations as well as perpetual on-prem and as well as service-based offerings these days. And if Citrix plays its card right, it'll do like other companies have done, and everything will move to cloud services at some point, and developing and maintaining code for both will be obsolete.
Sure. Totally agree.
All right. So in this particular conversation, we're reviewing a blog that you wrote looks like July 28th, and the title of it is New Advanced Editions of Citrix Virtualization Service Offerings Are Here. You want to set us up with what you cover here in the introduction?
Yeah, absolutely. So I talk about change in the introduction here. I think we're all subjects have changed in all of 2020, right? Something new around every single corner. But what I really wanted to put into context is we've seen our customers more than ever be ready to make that shift toward the cloud. Maybe they were thinking of it, maybe they weren't as ready before 2020. A lot of individuals are ready to make that shift now. I'm sure from XenTegra, I feel like you all have been seeing that too. But for us, we want to make it as easy as possible to help our customers make that shift. So we're introducing new editions of our virtualization offerings to make that move more seamless.
So that's good. I mean, that's a reflection of the times and how times are interesting these days. And Citrix showing off the fact that when something's a service, you can be very nimble and roll things out and roll things up, as needed.
Totally agree.
So why don't you highlight for Bill and I what's changing here?
Absolutely. So previously, if our on-premises customers wanted to make this shift to the cloud, so just to preface here, I'm talking specifically about Citrix Virtual Apps and Desktops service as a standalone service. Obviously, you can get that as a part of Workspace Premium Plus, but for the context of this call, I'm talking about the standalone virtualization service offerings. So previously, when our on-premises virtualization customers wanted to move to the cloud, they needed to not only transition, but also trade up because we had only the premium service offering in the cloud, so our highest level service offerings. But there's a ton of exceptional customers out there that are on our lower editions on-prem, both the standard and advanced editions. So what we did to kind of help bridge that gap for our customers is make an advanced edition of the Citrix Virtual Apps and Citrix Virtual Apps and Desktop service in the cloud. So you have more of a direct correlation between your on-prem advanced edition and then now this cloud-based advanced edition. So you only have to transition and not trade up. Does that help clarify a bit?
It does. If I could put it in kind of layman's terms, there's a
Sure.
It means there's I don't want to call it inferior, but there's a lesser version they can go parallel into the cloud with, and they don't have to actually go up a level in order to go to the cloud. Is that right?
Yes, exactly. So it's just dependent on the features and functionalities that each business needs individually. And for some, the middle tier version works exceptionally well for them. So want them to be able to keep it, but in a cloud-based model with all the bells and whistles and great advantages that you get with cloud.
And we're talking, okay, oh, interesting. So Bill, before I move on, any thoughts or comments on this?
So I guess, and I don't know that I have thoughts and comments, but I have kind of a question. I think I know the answer. And that is, this is really just designed to give them like for like, whereas Workspace Premium is going to give them additional products that Citrix has in this portfolio. Is that fairly accurate?
Yeah, so I appreciate that. So like for like, exactly for our Citrix Virtual Apps and Desktops customers, Workspace Premium Plus will give you additional Citrix products, which were always, Citrix is a better together story. Right. So we've had a lot of customers that have made that transition up to the workspace and have really found that advantageous to have the entirety of their stack under Citrix. But yes, for our customers that are wanting to make the move to cloud, have Citrix Virtual Apps and Desktops, it's working great for them. Want to make that move without adding additional features? Absolutely. You can do that as well.
Well, and then you also, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, please. No, you also get hybrid cloud capabilities when moving to the cloud, so you can run on-premises workloads with the control plane in the cloud, as well as Windows Virtual Desktop support and cloud-only features like our auto-scaling feature. Was that what you're going to say, Bill? Did I steal your thunder there?
That's quite all right. That's what I was going to ask about those last two items there at the bottom, the hybrid cloud and the WBD multi-session piece. So I'm glad you brought that into it.
Absolutely.
So guys, I guess so in the chart, in the diagram, which our listeners can't see, but we're comparing the on-prem to the new advanced version of either virtual apps or the virtual app and desktop, which, by the way, line 1 is interesting that it comes in a concurrent or user device option. And just out of the gate, you don't have to get any type of special exception to do it. I guess the matrix would have helped me a little more if it had also the virtual apps and desktop premium service that that's the one that's just short of Workspace Premium Plus, or am I making that one up?
Sure. So the Citrix Virtual Apps and Desktops Premium service, I appreciate that feedback, has a few more entitlements than the advanced service. I don't have a like-for-like comparison there. There is a very detailed chart within the blog that shows all of our virtualization service offerings across the board that could be helpful as well. But yes, so our Citrix Virtual Apps and Desktops Premium service is the virtualization offering that is a part of Workspace Premium Plus. Mm-hmm. So yes, that is our highest level virtualization service offering. I haven't pulled, it's more like Director Premium Edition, Advanced App Layering. It's that kind of one step further of management and monitoring features that you get within the premium service off the top of my head here.
And Monica, does that one come in a concurrent model these days? I think it does.
Yes. Yes, great question. So now for both our advanced and premium service offerings, they come both in concurrent as well as user device licensing. So that has been huge for our customers as well. So Citrix Virtual Apps Premium and Virtual Apps and Desktops Premium also came out with that recently. Mm-hmm. So across the board, you can get those licensing models.
So I guess one way to look at this is just a less expensive way of getting some of the pieces you need without having to trade up to the premium service in that process, right?
Yep, absolutely. There's definitely a lesser price point associated with it, and just getting the features and functionalities that you need to get your job done.
Now, are you allowed to talk list pricing?
I don't even want to throw it out there off the top of my head. It's a good question to ask, but I will probably have to defer that question. It's definitely dependent on the amount of licenses, what your current environment looks like. So definitely talk to your salesperson, talk to your partners about what they can do for you.
Okay. Yeah, no worries. Okay. Well, in this sheet, you kind of highlight the differences. Let's try to highlight the differences between the advanced service of virtual apps and the advanced service of virtual app and desktop. We'll just go through line by line. Both come in a concurrent or user device license. Now, I guess this does highlight something I've always kind of stated differently. In the world of Citrix services, I thought it was just user-based, not user/device-based, whereas on-prem it's been user-device where the algorithm kicks in. But I thought in the cloud services it was just user-based. Is cloud services actually user and device?
That's a good question. I believe it's both, but I could be wrong in that fact. So I might have to get back to you on that one.
Bill, do you know? I thought the cloud services was user only, not user device.
Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head. It's a very good question.
Okay, no worries. Monica, if you want to follow up with that, just let me know. Because if it is user and device when it's a cloud service, I've been telling people wrong. Don't tell anybody. Of course, I guess that's
sure. You say it live on air.
Yeah. All right. Okay, so let's thought through it. So the virtual app service, of course, it allows us to present applications seamlessly without the desktop look and feel. And of course, that's available in both services we're talking about here, virtual app and desktop and virtual app. I do have a question for you on that one. Does that include the ability to present Windows 10 session applications that, what am I thinking? The ones that, Bill, what's it called when you don't show the desktop in the background?
I knew you were going to ask me. That is the desktop hosted apps or something like that. Virtual desktop hosted apps. That's what they used to call it.
A seamless app where you don't show the desktop. Yes, you can present, and I am a big stickler on that word. You don't stream it. Other products like AppV stream. Citrix doesn't stream. Citrix presents, at least these days. At one point, it did do both. But Citrix presents applications, and doing that from a Windows 10 OS in a I just said the word in sessionless, where you don't see the desktop.
Seamless.
What'd you say, Bill?
Seamless.
It's a Monday, I guess. Seamlessly without the desktop. Is that included in both of these services, Monica?
That's a great question. I believe so. That might be another one that I have to follow up on there.
Don't worry. And I bring it up here, and I'm not shocked that you're not an expert on that one. That is one that is very, very, very underlooked and often not recommended, but it's gotten better and better through the years, where you could take applications that don't like multi-user or aren't supported on server OS, and it's one of the application trump cards out there that just most people don't even know exist, and it can be used and does work. All right, next line here is virtual desktops. Of course, that is in the Citrix apps, virtual app and desktop category, but not in the virtual app. Now, where do server desktops fit into that comment?
Right. So this has been one that I have had to go back and forth on, but it's a multi-session server desktop. So I believe it's being deployed straight from the server. I could be wrong. I was collaborating on this one, and there's been confusion, but that's why we go the multi-session versus single session there. So VDI is desktops only, but then multi-session server falls under virtual apps. I don't know if that clarifies it, but
well, in our industry, people have called it multiple things. I've called it I can't even remember, RDSH. We've called it server hosted desktops. Bill, do you have any other ways you refer to it?
No, you caught them. Session host.
I think that's what you guys are calling out here. The nuance now, though, is the Windows 10 multi-session in Azure, which is through Windows 10, but multi-session. So, if I'm reading this document, I'd want to maybe clean that up and be specific. But I think for the sake of this call, we'll talk about Citrix Virtual App Service, including server desktops, multi-session server desktops, but not multi-session Windows 10 desktops.
well, are you speaking of WVD in that instance?
I am specifically speaking of WVD in that instance, yes.
Yeah, so that multi-session desktop, that's the final line there, that it is included in the virtual app service.
Well, so I'll take your answer for that, but I'd also challenge it, because that would be ridiculous for Citrix to throw it into the cheaper version and not in the cheaper version, because people would definitely take advantage of that in a heartbeat. I know I would. My guess is Windows 10 multi-session, it will fall in the column with virtual app and desktop. If Citrix put that into the virtual app only service, that would be probably an oversight on their part, because they really don't want you buying that service if you need the other one for Win 10. But if you want to check with that and maybe let us know, that would be great.
Sure.
Okay, so let's keep going down the list here. Oh, here we go. Server multi. Oh, you might be right. Server multi-session desktop is yes and yes for both products. And then server VDI single session is yes only in the virtual app and desktop. Remote PC access, which is another highly overlooked Citrix use case, giving access to the physical desktop. That is only in the virtual app and desktop service. And then hybrid cloud, where you can take this service and connect to multiple clouds, including your own data center, Colo or IaaS, or GCP, AWS, Azure, IBM, maybe Oracle. Do you guys connect to Oracle Cloud?
I believe we do.
Okay.
Yep.
And then finally, we're back to that bottom one, Windows Virtual Desktop Multi-Session. I guess the fact that it's highlighted above and then highlighted below, it would be nice if it said Windows Client or Windows 10. But yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe it does do multi.
Yes, I believe it is, because since it's a multi-session, you can deliver it like an application. So I believe it's in the Citrix Virtual Apps Advanced service. I can double, triple check on that for you. But
yeah, it just seems a little odd, right? I could take a server and call it multi-session, but only connect one user to it and get away with using the cheaper license.
Yeah, I can look into it for sure. But I appreciate this conversation 100% because there's a million ways to slice this that might make sense to some, might not make sense to others. And we've had detailed conversations on this chart specifically. So definitely want to make it as clear as possible for everyone involved.
Yeah, that'd be great. I can tell you personally, and Bill can probably relate, I've had many cases where I've been highlighted as the Citrix expert only because I knew a couple basic things in a document like this, and it's been just been 25 years of features that show up in categories, and just knowing what features go along with which product allows you to be a Citrix guru, whether or not you know how to set it up or not. Which is
Sure, totally agree.
Hey, Bill, any thoughts on this chart before we move on?
Yeah, I think one thing we might want to highlight is the distinction or the difference between server desktop multi-session and server VDI as compared to virtual desktops. A server VDI is kind of the way that some folks got around the whole VDA licensing concept back in the day by standing up a full 2016 or 2019 server and allowing one user to connect to it. That's really the distinction, as I understand it, between server VDI and server desktop multi-session. Server VDI, I'm giving one user to one server. Server multi-session, I'm giving multiple users to one server. So it's really very similar to VDI versus Windows Virtual Desktop, the distinction there. But server VDI is a one that I think was often overlooked, and it was a way that a lot of customers kind of got around the VDA or didn't need Windows 10 on the desktop, so they leveraged Windows Server 2016 or 2012 R2 to deliver a single session to the user. So that is included in the Virtual Apps and Desktops Advanced service, the one that includes both VDI and apps.
And to be frank here, after many years of selling and implementing this stuff, if you just buy the premium edition or even the workspace edition, then all these things go away. And chances are, if you work closely with your partner sales team and the Citrix sales team, you can get to a number where it makes sense just to buy the whole thing and go from there versus trying to piecemeal these individual flavors. However, Monica, I don't want you to think we're diminishing the fact that Citrix is making it an option to buy the lower end flavor if you need to for what meets your budget or where things stand in your organization.
Yeah, sure. I think in this case, this is really a key thing for some customers who look at Workspace Premium or Workspace Premium Plus as an offering that includes products that they may have other solutions for, or they may not be interested in at this time or ever. And this gives them a place to land in the middle where they're still leveraging the cloud service and still purchasing the products from Citrix, but not feeling like they're buying something they're not going to use, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate both of your insights. And I wanted to highlight, Andy, the word that you said is option, right? Having that option on the table, making it known that it's out there. Definitely, it's totally dependent on case. It's totally dependent on working with your salespeople and getting exactly what's right for you. But it's really powerful, we thought, to give customers the option to get exactly what they need.
Right. Okay, well, Monica, you've got a couple paragraphs at the end here that kind of says, what this means for you. You want to try to recap the goal of this article and this change?
Yeah, absolutely. So at the end of all of this, I wrapped it up with in general, I think everyone in the industry understands that cloud is something that's on all of our radars all of the time, has probably been on your organization's radar as well if you're not already there. And the fact that hybrid cloud support is really fundamental for a lot of Citrix customers. So leveraging the current on-premises environment that you have, being able to expand to the cloud, being able to have business continuity in the times of the pandemic, and having burst scenarios to the cloud without having to totally do away with all of your on-premises investments is incredibly powerful for our customers, and we want to make sure we can help organizations get to that point. So and additionally, for all of the benefits of cloud, the expansion, disaster recovery, ease of management. I could go on all day about why moving to the cloud is great, but again, we want to just give those options and have more options out there for you to choose from to make your transition as easy as possible.
And Monica, just to clarify one thing you said there for people, we call it moving to the cloud. Cloud's just the marketing term for it, right? It's moving to a service, right? Moving to a service
Sure.
is really what people need. And to be frank, the customer segment that these new offerings are kind of orientated towards, those are the ones that really need it as a service more than others, because they probably don't have the staff to focus on the control plane and keeping this up to date full time, and they need it as a service. And this is just a great scenario where Citrix is recognizing that there needs to be a little bit more options in the flavors that allow you to consume this, and so that people that couldn't afford to consume it at the premium level now have it as an option.
Yeah,
this is an option. Okay, Bill, any parting thoughts?
No, I think it's great that Citrix is offering this, and particularly the hybrid rights. A lot of customers are looking for solutions that they've got an on-premises environment and they want to quote unquote burst to the cloud. Well, you really can't do that well or easily without doing the control plane in the cloud already. And so by allowing them to leverage what they have on-prem and then also give them the ability to move into the cloud by virtue of those hybrid rights, I think is key in this situation as well. So I like that feature.
So, we've talked about that a couple of times. There's an article. I wanted to make a distinction here between, hybrid cloud and being able to do it on-prem and in other clouds, but have the control plane, what would be called a PaaS, platform as a service,
right, in
the cloud, but not necessarily having to leverage an IaaS.
Maybe I misunderstand it.
Well, and that's what I want to be clear, because I think maybe Monica might have said a while ago, and it kind of slipped by me. Monica, hybrid rights, the ability as part of this service, is that officially part of this or not?
Yes. I cut out there for a second. So you were asking about hybrid rights. Do you mind repeating that really quickly?
Yeah, so distinction, right? There's hybrid cloud, where it allows you to put the workloads almost anywhere you want, a public cloud, a private cloud, your personal data center, whatever. And then there's the concept of hybrid rights, which Bill brought up a minute ago.
Yeah.
Where do hybrid rights by default fall into these two offerings, the ability to bring the control plane back on-prem under this model?
Oh, the control plane on-prem?
Yeah.
So I believe we, with cloud services, have the control plane in the cloud, and you can run workloads on-prem. I don't believe that your control plane can be on-prem. So our hybrid rights means you can run workloads on-prem, but your control plane will be in the cloud, and you do get those rights with our cloud services. And then hybrid cloud, to your statement, is exactly right. Regardless of what cloud service, cloud provider you are utilizing, they all work within the Citrix cloud service offerings. Did that answer your question?
No, but that's okay, because you probably don't get caught up in this conversation very often. What I'm really Bill's referring to is hybrid rights, where if you had issues with the service, which most of that is gone these days, and you needed to bring needed to use the subscription that you have here and use that, put the control plane back on-prem, like the perpetual old days or the on-prem old days, or old days as in yesterday. The ability to move that control plane back on-prem is really what Bill was highlighting here, and it's not mentioned. It's really not talked about in this article, and I don't expect it to be. We were just going to bring it up here and find out if there was some uniqueness here that allowed you to put the control plane back on-prem with these two services, or is it just cloud?
I may have misspoken. That's not really what I was referring to. What I was referring to was the ability of the cloud service to reach into an on-prem location as well as a cloud location. Because if you have an on-premises CVAD environment today, you can't reach into the cloud and orchestrate workloads in the cloud, at least starting after 1915 LTSR. And I've discovered you can't even build them in the cloud because they know they're in the cloud and they won't register properly. So really what I was getting at was, under Citrix Virtual Apps and Desktops Advanced, can we orchestrate workloads on the premises in Azure, in AWS from that service? And I think the answer is yes.
Yes. Yes, okay. You're exactly right. After 1915, you cannot run your management plane on premises.
And
that's what I was.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, so you guys are probably closer to the same page. I think what threw me off, Bill, you said hybrid rights.
Yeah, and I should have read that. It said hybrid cloud. I just basically fell back to the old way of thinking.
That's fine. Well, that's why we have these conversations, and that's why we allow people to listen to us and probably think we're idiots, and then hopefully get to the same place.
We get to the same place, right?
Right. We're all in this together. There are a lot of changes, so I think these conversations are imperative to make sure that everyone understands them. Absolutely, even on my end as well.
Yeah, and there's lots of nuances to this as well. So
yes, there are
little unique needs, and how they fit into this model is key.
Absolutely.
Well, guys, thanks for joining. I think this was useful. Hopefully our listeners find it useful. And Monica, we'll have you back on a later date to talk about some more Citrix-related topics.
Sounds great. Really appreciate you having me.
Yep. Thanks, Monica.
All right,
Thanks.
guys. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Citrix Session with your hosts, Andy Whiteside and Bill Sutton. A special thanks to our guest for attending today's podcast. Podcast produced by Pete Downing. For any input, or if you'd like to be a part of our podcast, please email us at info@XenTegra.com. Please head over to XenTegra.com/podcast to listen to all podcasts in this series. This podcast is copyrighted by XenTegra LLC.